Welcome back to Professional Perspectives. I'm Marvakella, joined as always by my co-host Praneeth Vimuri. We're excited to bring you another inspiring conversation as we continue Season 4.
Our guest is Andrew Yu, a driven entrepreneur and business leader whose career has been shaped by strategy, innovation, and a commitment to continuous learning. From early challenges to launching ventures and leading teams, Mr. Yu brings a thoughtful perspective on what it takes to grow in a competitive field.
Exactly. What makes Mr. Yu's journey so special and meaningful is the balance he's built between the professional ambition and the personal passion. His experiences highlight resilience, adaptability, and the courage to just keep on learning. Qualities that are very valuable for any student thinking about a career in business
We're
or
excited to dig into
entrepreneurship.
Mr. Yu's story and hear the lessons he's picked up along the way. Mr. Yu, welcome to Professional Perspectives. We're so thrilled to have you on with us.
Good to be here, guys.
Awesome. So just get started. What would you say is the reason that you wanted to work in the sports industry?
Yeah, I appreciate the introduction as well. Really do. Yeah, I think for myself, being in the sports industry is probably one of the most competitive industries you could think of. Just barrier of entry, right? It's not even like tentative skills, like if you're a nurse or if you're trying to get into the law degrees and stuff like that, or even doctoral programs, medical field, or anything like that. The sports field is very, very competitive. But for myself, like similar to like how anybody else would want to be in the sports industry, like started off wanting to play sports growing up, play professional basketball, professional football, anything in between, right? And then as you kind of get older, you start to realize like, hey, that it's less than 1% of people actually make it in to the professional sports industry playing that sport that you love growing up. And so you start to shift your perspective a little bit and you start to think, all right, how can I still be involved in the sports industry and still be um, around the athletes, be a part of the game in some shape or capacity? And for myself, like I tried a little bit of everything. And so now I'm in the industry, so which is insanely amazing, but I really I think it's really competitive, and where it started off was just trying to be an athlete, right? And uh, unfortunately, I'm not playing in the NBA, as an NBA player playing with Steph and LeBron, but still part of the industry
Yeah,
in
that
some
sounds
shape or
amazing how
capacity,
you're
which I
still
think
able
is
to be
amazing.
involved in like your passion. Did you always think you were going to work in sports?
Uh, yes and no. Yes, in a sense of, I'm still early in my, sports career, sports journey, and in the industry, but right when I got into college, I said, how can I be a part of the sports industry, right? And unfortunately for myself, the year that I graduated high school was COVID. It was 2020 COVID. There was no sports. There was no fans or nothing like that. So it looked a little bleak there. I'm not gonna lie, but I reached out to a bunch of people on LinkedIn, industry professionals, just wanting to be curious of what they do. And so, in a long story short, right, like I got tons of experience in college, and then worked my way through just networking, meeting more people, learning different facets of the business and the industry as a whole. Um, and then full time wise, it was really, really difficult, but I would say once you go through the interview process, really just enjoy the process overall and just enjoy the interviews. Like you actually start to really like enjoy everything. And I kind of saw like light at the end of the tunnel. But yeah, like it was really, really hard. And it's super, super competitive. So yes and no, but I'm glad where I'm at.
Yeah, that's definitely great to hear. And then I feel like I can definitely agree from what I see on the outside about like the competitiveness of the sports industry and how it's like a really cutthroat kind of industry, and it's really hard to find success and a place in that industry. So my next question was kind of targeted around that idea, right? So you started out like working as like a salesperson or a sales associate in like Under Armour or Nike, and then you slowly transitioned into like an intern at UNLV and then like an NBA con ambassador. and then eventually now in your role as an account executive at the Phoenix Mercury. Could you just talk to us about your story and how you like built up your career into the stage where you're at right now?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it a little bit. Like when I graduated high school, I was it was during COVID, and one, there's no sports, there's nothing going on, right? Like we're canceling everything and stuff like that. But two, like I kind of was going through networking, right? Just downloading LinkedIn, applying for jobs as much as I could. And the one thing that I learned when just talking to these industry professionals, similar to what you guys are doing right now, is that reaching out is like, it's super, super easy. Anybody can do it, but not everybody does it. Right. And I say that now to this day, like anybody can do what I do right now, but not everybody does it. Right. Um, but when I was still in high school, actually, when I first got my first kind of role in sports, it was with a company called Sponsor United. They are a million, I want to say almost million. They're probably $1 billion company. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's called Sponsor United. It's a great, great company that basically tracks all of the partnership deals that are across the country, and they actually track a few across the globe, right? Because there's a lot of European sports, soccer teams over there, rugby, and you name it, right? So they track all partnerships across the globe, and really their main focus is sports in the United States. And in that role, I was just learning about partnerships and learning more about industry professionals in partnerships, right? And I thought it was amazing. Learn different facets of the business, and that was before I was even a freshman in college, right? This was like summertime when it was from high school to freshman year at UNLV. And then fast forward a little bit, like I knew I wanted to work in sports in some shape or capacity, and knew I wanted to kind of just work for a sports team. So I got a job with Under Armour. Knew it was really, really hard to get a job with Nike or any of these other companies, but I got a job with Under Armour. Uh, worked my way in there, realized that they had sales goals that they had to hit monthly, annually, and all of that good stuff. And knew I just love shoes, love clothes, ran cross country and track. And I knew that, like, hey, like if you just talk about different facets of the business, like you're going to be able to do really well over there. Right. Um, but kind of left that job because I was living in Vegas, and my mom really, really wanted me to work for a hotel. And if you're living in Vegas, the hotel industry is massive out there. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not going to say no to my mom. And so if my mom says do something, uh, knowing it's the betterment of your career, you better do it, right? And so worked for Mandalay Bay, out in the pools in the heat during the summertime. And keep in mind, this was like still 2020, 2021. And I was literally telling hotel guests, hey, you guys have to have your masks on, which is crazy because you're out in the pool and you have to tell people, hey, you got to have your masks on. Hey, I understand you guys are in the water. You got to be completely in the water if you don't want to have your mask on. I don't know about you guys, but that's pretty crazy to think about. Like that in 2021, like we're having to tell people to put their masks on outside at the pool when it's, over 110, 20 degrees outside. Right. So definitely wouldn't, I definitely would never do that experience again, but wouldn't trade that, experience for anything. Um, Knew I wasn't gonna want to do that anymore, and so I got a job with Nike, working there, working retail part time again. Knew I liked to work in retail. I was really good at it, and now I get to do it with Nike, which is awesome, right? And so, um, got to work there, got to meet some really great leaders that are still a part of, you know, uh, like I'm still networked with them, connected with them. While that was going on, though, while I was doing my like retail job experience and all of that, I had made some really good, solid networking connections with the Raiders, and I met Melissa Tales, who's like the director of the Raiders ambassadorship program. So they were doing like foundation, marketing, training camps, you name it, event staff, like everything, all of the above, right? For the Raiders. And at the time, this was like their first season with fans in the building. I had left such a great impression with Melissa that she had called me and said, "Hey, are you still interested in working for the Raiders and doing the ambassadorship program?" I said, 1000%, right? It's the Las Vegas Raiders. It's a major, major NFL team. No matter if they're good or bad, they're still one of the best NFL teams of all time, right? Because they have Super Bowls. Um, Got a chance to do that for about a season. Learned a lot. Again, it was still during COVID, but I just learned a lot from being in that industry. Um, and I transitioned over. I had made another great connection with UNLV Athletics. Applied for an internship back in my freshman year where I knew I wanted to do it. And they, again, just no fans in the building. There was no need for fan engagement, student engagement, because you just couldn't have any fans in the building. But I had interviewed with the marketing director over there, or the marketing manager over there, and he recognized me. He knew me, and he asked, "Hey, are you still interested? Would you be interested in working for UNLV Athletics?" I said 1000%. Right, opportunities opened up, reconnected with him, and took the role. Uh, got more of a idea of what live presentation looks like, game entertainment, giveaways, right, activations that go on a day-to-day basis. And keep in mind, this was all back in my Sponsor United days when I was like, who's doing these stuff? Like, who's sponsoring these things? Like, it says Canes, Raising Canes is a major partner of UNLV Athletics at the time, and they have Raising Canes on there. And I'm like, I wouldn't know this. I wouldn't think about it if I didn't have my Sponsor United days, like kind of like in that background, right? So I thought this was super sick. And then I had a great fraternity brother who was interning with the Vegas Golden Knights at the time, and he said, "Hey, we need some part-time staff for the Golden Knights." I said, 1000%, let's do it. Hired me on the spot, basically worked my way in through the Golden Knights organization as a part-time marketing and VGK Foundation's part-timer event crew over there. Loved it. I thought it was super amazing. And really got to just play an active role in making sure fans who are coming in the building have a great fan experience. Right. We also did season ticket member events that we were helping out with. We were doing just so many different things with the Golden Knights. At that point in time, though, it just so happened to be our Stanley Cup, year, like that we won the Stanley Cup. And so I got to be part of the Stanley Cup finals. I thought that was amazing, just being in the building for that. Vegas's first ever sports team, right? They built such a great foundation in the Vegas community. And I got to play an active role in that. So I thought that was pretty cool too. Um, Leverage, and I was still working part time, and I got a job. uh I got scouted out. Actually, I walked into a store. um it was called October's Very Own. It's like Drake's clothing line. And I don't know if you guys know who Drake is or his brand, but he's probably one of the best artists of all time. I'm very biased, but walked into the store. The store manager really liked my energy. She liked my background in retail. She said, "Hey, would you want to work here?" I was like, "No, I work at Nike. Like, I'm not leaving Nike for nothing." She's like, "Yeah, but you should still get my email," and emailed her out of the blue. I said, "Hey, not saying that I would do it, but I'm very, very curious on what this looks like and what this might entail. Would be open to doing the interview process and just seeing what you guys have to offer." Went and did it. They were super flexible on hours, super, super flexible on pay. I was going to get a pay raise over there. And so I was like, you know what? Let's do it. She seems super nice. Let's do it. Right. Took the job with October's Very Own while I was doing all these internships and stuff. Now I'm working for the Knights and I'm doing UNLV Athletics at the same time. So now at this point, I have like 3 or 4 jobs at this point. Right. And I was doing fraternity stuff. Like, I was a fraternity's philanthropy chair, an events chair. So I was doing so many different things, facets, learning so many different things while I was going to school full time. Right? Sounds pretty crazy. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And then later on, I it was my senior year. I ended up um, getting a role with NBA Con. It was NBA Con's like very first and only year that they did it. But I got to meet some really cool people, learn really good things about the events industry with the NBA. Um, got to meet Carmelo, Ray Allen, Kareem, uh, Jerry West. So like some really, really cool people and just have great conversations with them. Two Chains, because he was performing at the event. I love the event overall. The event was not successful from a like people attending the event standpoint, but it was really, really cool to just work the event and be an ambassador for that event. Eventually down the line, I got an internship with the UFC under their Fight Pass program. Fight Pass is basically their streaming service of the UFC, and I think it was so amazing just to be a part of that because I was interviewing fighters, I was writing articles, I was creating content, I was creating playlists for that would be posted on Fight Pass. I was cutting clips, I was doing some video editing, like I was doing a little bit of everything. Um, but I realized like, hey, I'm not really great at this. Like I love this and I'm not great at this, right? Um and keep in mind I left OVO too and I went to work for Lululemon. So I was always working retail part-time while I was doing all these internships jobs and stuff, but I thought it was amazing just to be a part of the UFC, right? Um and then right after that, I got an internship with the Las Vegas Desert Dogs. So the Desert Dogs are a professional indoor box lacrosse team that's owned by Joe Tsai and Wayne Gretzky and Steve Nash. Now Joe Tsai is like the owner of the Brooklyn Nets, the New York Liberty. And he's just a tech billionaire, right? And I was working sales for them and I was like, man, this is pretty cool. Like I get to actually play an active role in ensuring fans have a great game day experience, right? Because I noticed reps would interact with their fans. The fans wanted it, the season ticket members wanted to interact with them. They wanted to meet him. They understood that like from a game day experience, like you play an active role in building up the fan base, building up the fandom, making sure fans have a great experience overall, right? Fast forward again, graduated. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know. I just didn't have a job lined up, right? And like I think that's so many people in college who are graduating that just, hey, I have no clue what to do. I have this college degree and I do not know what I'm going to do because I don't have a job lined up, right? And I almost thought about going to grad school, but I was going through the interview process with the Arizona Cardinals. I had a professor my last semester of college. He said, "Hey, like are you open to expanding your horizons in sports? Because there's other cities that have sports teams." And I said, I've never thought about it. I've always wanted to stay in Vegas, wanted to be, Vegas local, never wanted to leave. But because I had a great professor who said you should be open to all opportunities and expand your horizons, I targeted a few cities that I would be open to moving out to. Arizona had been to be one of them. Applied for a role with their sales development program, which is basically a 9 to 12 month, full time job where they're teaching you how to, do sales, sales tactics, and just sell season ticket memberships for the Cardinals and group tickets and all of the above. Right? Got the job. I was six out of over 1,000 applicants for this job. Right? We talk about the less than 1% of people. I was less than 1% of people who got into the industry, right? We talk about less than 1% for the sports to play professional sports, but I'm a part of, now I'm on the business side, and that's less than 1% of people, right? And did really well over there. Knew that job was about work ethic, hustle, all of that stuff, and knew I wanted to go back into basketball because I grew up playing basketball, and so I decided I would apply for a role with the Mercury, which is the WNBA affiliate for the Suns. We just had a great finals run over there, but at that time, like they were struggling. So 2021, they went to the finals, lost to the Chicago Sky. The next season, they had a 19 win season, or they had a 9 win season, or something like that. They were struggling to win games. And the year that I had got the job was the first season that our best player had left, which was Diana Taurasi, who is, if you don't know who Diana Taurasi is, she's one of the best, probably the best WNBA player of all time, right? And she had just left the team, retired, and now I got the job over there. But the cool thing is, like, I just wanted to be in basketball. Wanted to be had an opportunity to be able to sell Suns tickets, Mercury tickets, Valley Suns, which is our G League affiliate team, concert shows at the arena, which is now called Mortgage Matchup Center in Phoenix, in downtown Phoenix. And I was like, this is insane. This is a really great opportunity. And I get to be around basketball and I'm selling group tickets. So I love it. I think the role is super amazing. And I know that's a long story, but try to shorten it as much as I can. But wanted to make sure I touched on everything,
No, yeah, thank you so much. That was like a
as much
great
as I
breakdown
could.
of your path and your story. Something I really thought was interesting was how your experiences kind of shaped your career trajectory and all that. A lot of our listeners are high school students, so would you like to go more in depth on like what you took away from studying marketing and entrepreneurship at UNLV and like that whole college experience and balancing out your school life with your internships and all this?
I mean, I could even touch on my high school life, right? Like my high school life was super diverse. Like it sounds crazy, but I was the mascot of my school, right? I was the mascot of my school. I was running track, cross country, playing basketball, and then my senior year, I decided to do bowling because I knew all the seniors had left, and so my like all of our cross country runners were like, "Let's just try for the bowling team," and we made the team. It was crazy. And then I was also the basketball manager for our basketball, which is one of like the top teams in the state of Nevada, and we have ranked players on our team. And I was like, this is sick. But yeah, like I was also doing yearbook. Like I was doing everything in high school. Like I think high school shapes who you are when you go to college. Like college, you can be anybody you want, but I think in high school you should. There's no risk. Do whatever you guys want to do. But in college, um, time management's super important. You're going to hear it all the time, probably from any industry professional. Super important for me in high school, but in college, I almost felt like I had more time to do things, right? I could set my own schedule, work retail, make some money, do internships, jobs and stuff. I had a car. Having a car is super important, right? Um, but like I think just having the opportunity to do as many jobs as you can, being on campus or close to campus is super helpful, right? You can be anybody you want to be in college, but really it starts with high school. Like, what are you doing in high school right now that's opening doors so that you can find your passion in college and actually do it? Um, but time management is super important. I think just having the ability to um, know what you want is super important. And I know everybody doesn't know what they want to do. I wouldn't expect you guys to know what you guys want to do in high school, but I think knowing that I wanted to work in sports full time coming out of high school, really middle school, it helped me a lot. Right. And I knew what kind of classes I wanted to take, knew what kind of clubs I wanted to join, knew what kind of jobs I wanted to do. And so, um, being outgoing, time management, and knowing what you want to do and going after it, super, super important. There's so many college students who go in their freshman, sophomore year, not knowing what they want to do, just party, figure it out their freshman, sophomore year. And then their junior year, they're like, hey, I think I have an idea of what I want to do. And they start applying for internships, but they have no relevant experience. Not to be that guy. I'm not a hiring manager by any means, right? But it's going to be really hard to get hired if you have no job experience and you're all you have is coursework, right? All you have is coursework, and that's what you add on a resume, right? I think jobs understand that, like, hey, like if you're working there part time, like just trying to gain experience, like they understand that they'll teach you everything. But I think for internships and for relevant quality experience in business, especially, like if you have no experience at all, it's gonna be really difficult.
Yeah, I definitely feel like well, first of all, your whole career trajectory path, I feel like that was a really good and in-depth uh kind of idea and conclusion of what you could say for your career. And I felt like that's very helpful for high school students who want to figure out how to get to a fact, but like how you said you need to have experience, not just coursework, to be able to get a job, and how you really did so many things, not just in high school, but in college and after that to be able to reach where you are. And I definitely feel like each experience was able to complement each other to get to where you are. And I feel like that's a very important piece of advice that can be used for all of our listeners. So thank you for that. And a question I had for you is, out of all the roles you did, what would you say is the biggest challenge you faced in any of them, and why? And how did you approach it?
Um, this is tough because I actually really liked all my rules. To be honest with you, every rule has a challenge. There's a rule right now that I'm in a challenge, right? Um, I think sales itself is pretty challenging, right? I think the other rules, like as long as you get the job done, you're good, right? As long as you got the job done, you're good, right? My game entertainment rules, I totally forgot about the Raiders again because I worked with them again as a game entertainment position over there, like handling and all of their game entertainment stuff too. Again, it kind of goes back to like I had like six different jobs in college, but um, I would just say like in sales right now, sales itself is really difficult. You have to convince people to see the value in what you are selling, and they have to give you money. Like you're gonna get people on the phone, and you also have to build trust because they don't know who you are. They don't know if you're actually say who you are, right? So one, you have to build trust with this person. You have to get them to see the value in what you are selling or offering or whatever, and then you have to actually execute it at a high level. I think I think it's not sports related, but it's sales related. Like you can't control the outcome. You can do everything the right way, you can say all the right things, and at the end of the day, you could still fail, right? And I think any other role is kind of different. Like you can do all the right things, execute everything the right way, say all the right things, make sure everything's done the right way, and more than likely it'll get done the right way. In sales, you're dealing with people's emotions. Like, people don't buy because they need it or whatever, right? You have to build up value for what you are trying to sell to other people. And I think that's really difficult in sales, especially. No matter if you're in sports or car insurance, insurance in general, or even selling houses, right? You have to build value for what you're selling. And so
Yeah, I
it's
can
very
definitely
difficult at the end of
understand
the
that
day.
that sales can just be challenging industry. But what does keep you motivated on these like extra tough days where it feels like nothing's going right?
Yeah, and you're gonna hear this a lot. If you ask anybody in the sports industry, I don't even care if you're in sports sales or sports, you're gonna hear this from everybody in the sports industry. You're gonna have tough days. You're gonna have really, really, really tough days. It's remembering your why. Why are you doing this? What made you even want to do this? Right? You're going to work extremely long hours. You're going to work on holidays. You're going to work on days where other people have off. That's like expectations, right? Like you're supposed to have this day off, and you're going to work them, right? We have Christmas games, you have Thanksgiving games, you have like New Year's Day games, right? Like there's just so many different days you're going to have game days on, or just days that you're going to work, and you're going to have to remember your why. Why are you in the sports industry? What made you want to do this? And so my why is super important to me. Like my why is the little kid in me when I was in middle school, elementary school, who would have dreamt to be in the same position that I am in. That motivates me. That motivates me to work extremely hard, work harder than everybody else to do what I do. And so it's super important to remember your why, no matter what industry. And I think that's super important, no matter what industry you're in, but specifically in the sports industry.
Yeah, and so I was wondering, like, your career, I would say, the reason we really wanted to invite you onto the podcast is because you just recently got out of high school and you're able to offer like a younger perspective, a younger professional side of things for high schoolers, right? And you definitely talked about like having a diverse high school career, to be able to shape your college career and your work career later on. But I would say, looking back, what would be the one piece of advice you would give to your high school self about just preparing for everything else?
Enjoy the moment. Enjoy it. Enjoy every moment you guys have. You guys are in high school right now, right? Well, I don't know what year you guys are. You guys like sophomores, juniors, seniors, freshmen? I don't
I'm a sophomore, Praneet's a junior.
Okay. I love that. Enjoy this. I think so often in high school, like we could get so worried about college applications. Um, do I have enough on the resume? Right. Um, Not to be that guy. I'm Asian. You guys are, I'm assuming you guys are both Asian yourselves. We got Asian parents. Expectations are really, really high in an Asian household. I'm a first generation. My parents are both immigrants, right? They both immigrated when they were young. My dad immigrated when he was 20, right? Living out the American dream looks very different for a lot of people, right? And we have high expectations. I don't know if your parents have high expectations for you guys and want you to do XYZ and UC schools and all of that good stuff, right? Go to great schools. And I want you guys to go to great schools. Don't get me wrong. I want you guys to both go to great schools. Um, but for myself, like I just wanted to enjoy the moment and I wanted to do everything. So like I did DECA and I kind of this is really cool, right? Because this is high school me. I did DECA as a high school. I want to say it was my junior year or sophomore junior year. I was doing DECA and I met industry professionals who had worked with the UFC. And again, going back to anybody can do this, not everybody does it. And I don't know why they don't do it, but anybody can do it. I got a business card from an industry professional from the UFC, emailed him, shot him an email, said, "Hey, I'm not sure if you remember me, but I met you at this DECA conference. Would love to set up some time just to learn a little bit more about you, what you do for the UFC. Does that work?" And I scheduled a lunch with him. He actually paid for lunch, and he was like, he gave me an hour of his day on a Saturday to have lunch with me, talk about what he does, what his journey looked like, similar to what we're doing, right? And then he said, "Let's do this. I'm going to schedule 3 different informational interviews with people in the UFC office." And this is during the summertime. And he scheduled it for me. I came into the UFC office headquarters, took bunch of photos. I was like, "This is sick," and this is high school me. And I just gave him 4 hours of my day just to talk to industry professionals. That's sick. Anybody can ask. Anybody could have emailed him, but not everybody does it. High school. Not in college, not a graduated senior, not a grad student. I was a high school junior, right? And I did this. Um, Keep in mind, like I had great mentors, don't get me wrong, but like I think the cool fact is that I got to enjoy the moment, right? I was the mascot. Like not I don't know if you guys have ever been a mascot or know anybody who's the mascot of your school. That suit is not fun. That suit is hot. And we're living in Vegas and it is hot. It is 110 degrees, 120 plus degrees, and I got a big freaking thing on my head. I was drenched in sweat. And I'm in there for 2 hours. That's not fun, but I enjoyed it. Bowling team. I don't bowl like that. My friends and I, we just did it for funsies. We made the team. We bowled. Other people took it seriously. We were just bowling for fun, right? I learned it so late into my senior year, but I wish I got to enjoy all of high school when I could. And I hope you guys do the same. Like, just enjoy high school, enjoy the moments, go out there, do fun things, right? Be smart, but, kind of just, if other people say it's dumb, you're probably doing the right thing. You know, like I had no experience in yearbook. I took photos, just learned. I was like, this is pretty cool. People said I was dumb because I was like, dude, you're joining your senior year? I was like, yeah, this is sick. So I would say that. I did theater my freshman year, knew I didn't like that, knew I was good at it, but I was like, this is not for me. But like, how would I have known that if I didn't do it? right? And so like I kind of just enjoy the moments, and I feel like
Yeah,
a lot of high
that's
school students
definitely
should do
great
the
advice
same.
for all of our listeners because a lot of them are probably thinking whether they should go for this opportunity, if they should connect to this person, and maybe just hearing that made them go make that move. So thank you so much for that advice. One thing that I quickly wanted to touch on though was how do you approach these people when you know that you're under, like when you're just a high school junior, you don't have this experience. How do you, should you go about approaching these people to connect with them?
Uh, I think it really depends on what part of the industry you're looking to get into. But at the end of the day, like literally, and this is what I did in college, right? College during COVID, I created a LinkedIn, same thing that Arav did. And you know what he did? He just reached out. It's super long, not to be that guy, but it was super long. But I read through it. I read it. You know what caught my eye? He said, I'm a high school student. And to be honest with you, I don't do these like I don't do podcasts or anything. I do informational interviews with people because I pay it forward, but I would never like be on a recording like this if it wasn't for him being a high school student. I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do this. And I think I told you that first. I was like, I don't know if this is for me, right? But I'm open to doing it because you're a high school student, right? I think we all know like if you're a high school student and you're doing this and you're reaching out to industry professionals, that's sick. It literally and on LinkedIn, this is what I did in college. And because I was a high school graduating seniors, COVID, right? All of this stuff. I did this. I said, basically, let's say Arav is some industry marketing manager, director, or whatever. Social media, right? It's pretty intimidating. It's pretty intimidating if I'm a high school student. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this person's never gonna look at this. But you know what I did? I said, hey, cool. Hey Arav, or hi Arav, my name is Andrew Yu. I am a current high school student at whatever high school. Just wanted to learn a little bit more about what you do for whatever XYZ team or whatever company that you work for, and just learn a little bit more about your story. That's it. If they add you back and they don't respond, that is permission for you to respond the next day and be like, hey, thank you so much for connecting with me. I really appreciate it. Would love to learn a little bit more about what you do. Would you have any time later this week? Is that possible? They don't respond back. Great. Respond again. Three times. Third time the charm, right? Hey, I understand you're likely busy, you know, with whatever you're doing, whatever position they're in. If it's not a fit, if there's no time, no worries. But I really appreciate you at least connecting with me on LinkedIn. That's it. If they don't respond after that too, great, move on. My mission was to reach out to 20 industry professionals a day. Just add them on LinkedIn, shoot them the same message every day for 20 days. For it was like a 20-day challenge I gave myself. I gave myself like no, I'm sorry, a 2 week challenge, 20 people a day that I gave myself this challenge for. If you do the math on that, right? I don't know how good you guys are in math, but if you do the math on it, all right, and I'm just talking 5 days, not the 7, right? But if I do it 5 times in a week for 2 weeks straight for 20 people a day, right? That's about 200 people you just reached out to. Just shooting them the same message. You may get none, you may get one. You get one, that's great. You get none, no worries. Keep doing it. It sounds crazy, but it works. Trust me. It really, really works. No matter what industry you're in.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for mentioning me reaching out to you, and I feel like your answer definitely holds a lot of truth to what I'm doing so far, and just like 'cause for the podcast, it's a lot of reaching out on LinkedIn to a lot of guests, and there's definitely way more no's than yeses. So thank you for appreciating that. And what I wanted to say is, I feel like your advice actually really true for high schoolers, and connecting it to what you said earlier about how you reached out and were able to set up a informational interview like when you were in high school for lunch, that's even more initiative than I'm taking, and it even pushes me to move forward. And I'm sure that it's also going to push our high school listeners to take initiative and to try and create opportunities instead of waiting for them to land at your doorstep. So again, thank you so much for that piece of advice. And as we slowly start to wrap up, there's two questions. Me and Praneeth are going to break it up, but my question is, uh, in the game day arena, in any of your arenas, in with Vegas Golden Knights or here with the Mercury, what's your most favorite experience and why?
Stanley Cup Finals. Stanley Cup Finals. I'm not Vegas born, but I basically was raised there. I was born in Portland, but and that's just because all my family is from Portland, and so my mom just had me over there. But I was basically born and raised in Vegas. Um, Growing up, we didn't have a sports team. We didn't. There's a lot of not. I know you guys are from Riverside, and you guys are basically Californians. Vegas did not have a team. We had UNLV, but that's not really a professional sports team, right? And so we didn't have a single sports team in the state of Nevada. And and I was like, man, this sucks growing up. If I want to work in sports, and we don't got a team. And to have Vegas win a Stanley Cup, like a major championship in 6 years, and I was there in person working for the team, that's sick. That's amazing. I will give credit though. The Mercury just went to the WNBA finals. Got to give them their flowers. We just lost to the Aces, but that was pretty cool too, right? Because I got to see the buy-in from the Mercury, from the WNBA, which is not like a men's professional sports, but it's the biggest women's sports league probably in the globe, in the world, right? And I got to be there for WNBA finals and
Yeah,
just
that
build
sounds
something really
amazing. And
special.
kind of like connecting with that, what's also like your favorite part about being in the arena, especially on game days?
Uh, just the people, right? Going back to my why, like if I can create the same kind of experience that I never got to have, because again, I grew up in Vegas, we didn't have a sports team. We would have preseason games. That's what we had. We had Lakers and Clippers preseason games where the big stars were not playing. If we got lucky, we'd have maybe one or two, but we didn't have them playing, right? You go to a Lakers game, you literally hear this. I mean, even Phoenix really. Oh, but that's preseason. That's preseason. Ain't nobody. I'm not trying to go see a preseason game. It doesn't even matter. Well, for 10-year-old me, that was amazing. I love that. That was great. I was like, I love the preseason games. I'll take as much as I can. Right? So I think just interacting with fans, getting to actually play an active role in their experience, that's everything to me. And so um in any of my roles, like I love that I played an active role in making sure their fan experience was top notch. And I think a lot of teams, and I'm blessed to be a part of an organization right now that spends a lot of time and money and man hours to make sure the fan experience is the best it can be.
Yeah, and I definitely like kind of personal level agree with what you said about the preseason games. Like, because I always try going to the preseason game for the Warriors, because first of all they're cheaper, and second of all like that's the best chance of getting like an autograph. So like I go like near the tunnel, then I got a few signatures that way. So I feel like preseason games for me are like better than a regular season game because you
Yeah.
get to see all the players play, and like the main players like Curry, he's more chill and he's like down for signatures and all. So yeah, I definitely agreeing with that. And as we start to reach our 45-minute mark, what would, for our last question, what would be the piece of advice you give to a high school student right now who's listening to the podcast? If they were to do one thing, what would that be?
Reach out to people. Reach out to people. And I already kind of said it earlier in the earlier question, but reach out to people. It's something anybody can do, not everybody does. And even college students don't even do it. Um, Reach out to people. Just reach out to people. It's a numbers game at the end of the day, but like just reach out to people. All they can say is no or not even respond. Just reach out to people. It sounds easy. It's that easy.
Yeah, that's
Oh, and have a great attitude. I'm sorry, I gotta add that. Have a great attitude about it too, right? These people don't owe you anything, but
no,
have a
you're
great
good. That's
attitude
perfect
about it.
advice. Thank you so
Sorry about
much.
that.
And yeah, just thank you so much for joining us and like accepting this opportunity. As you said, coming as a high school student, it's like really common to see no's. So thank you so much for, paying it forward and joining us here on our podcast.
Mr. Yu, thank you so much for sharing your journey and perspective. Your story really shows how resilience, adaptability, and purpose can shape a career in business, entrepreneurship, and sales.
Absolutely. The lessons you've shared about persistence, empathy, and setting bold goals are such valuable reminders for anyone looking to build their own path.
Listeners, if you're considering careers in business, leadership, or sales, this episode is full of insight for you to learn from.
Be sure to subscribe to Professional Perspectives, leave us a review if you're enjoying the content, and join us next time as we continue exploring diverse and inspiring careers.
Absolutely. And until next time, keep discovering your potential and let your passion lead your professional perspectives. Thank you, and see you in Season 4, Episode 5.